presentation table, we had brochures, and Jeff said, "Did you bring your table stuff?" And I said, "No, I just thought once would do it." And now this Sunday, we're having two that are going to share their experience at Burke Camp. And Burke Camp is July 8th to the 16th. It's in northern New York State. It's actually on the border with Canada. But we would love to have anyone come. And I think we will ask Garrett to come first and share. And Garrett's been helping me with my computer. He's trying. Very slow going, but he's trying. But I said to him, "Garrett, you went to Burke when you were a teen. Could you just share what that experience was?" And he did, and it touched my heart. So asked him if he would speak this morning. And then Corrine is going to come up after. Corrine has been a Burke camper in fairly recent years. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Sharon. Hello, I'm Garrett. As it was said, I went to Burke Camp when I was a teenager. Now I'm just a full-grown human being. But the journey continues. I wrote a summary of what I experienced in Burke Camp just toward the end of my time there, and I'll share it. I'll kind of read it aloud. But there is some like personal sharing. It takes courage sometimes to be real or to be not okay. So that's a big part of what the story is. In summary, I had said yes to joining for an altar call toward the end of the time there. And it just helped me express without words a lot of grief I was feeling. So a little bit of vulnerability as I share, but maybe it'll speak to some people. It is called Altar Call, Holy Spirit, Garrett White Testimony. It may have been one of the last nights at Burke Camp that year. I don't remember what was sung that night or being said, nor what the sermon was, nor who said what. I do remember I said yes to an altar call. I walked to the front and joined others in prayer. I expect I was not alone in seeking prayer that evening. I do remember feeling so weighted by grief, confusion, and anger. I carried into camp that year all my alienation and exhaustion from housing changes, my own self-loathing, and parental strife. I had packed and unpacked a duffel bag so many times that I felt more comfortable in transit than in contentment. My rooms had changed, new house orientations, and new smells, along with fewer and fewer mementos of my past. My mom's home was beside the railroad tracks, and she worked hard to make enough money to feed us. I felt fear navigating her rage at her condition, her poverty, and the bleak hollowness she harbored within those walls. Also, being a teenager, I had bright red acne all across my face at the time, and I felt incredibly critical of my appearance and conscious of what I assumed to be people's noxious judgment of my skin. Back then, at Burke Camp, at the altar call, laying before the altar in the tabernacle, I remember feeling so weighted by grief, confusion, and anger that I began to cry, and cried, heaving loudly into the air of the crowded campgoers. I felt hands on my shoulders and my back and heard prayers spoken earnestly for steadying guidance through this grief-stricken storm. I cried despite shame for becoming unraveled. I cried despite restraint, despite the slipping grip at my wounded dignity. My wails echoed, and in my ears, I fell beneath the waters of brokenheartedness. After some time, even the hands retreated, and I cried still more against the aching emptiness I carried, unspoken, within my shatteredness. I'm not sure how long I lay crying. When at last my crying ceased and my breathing steadied, I noticed that Jeff Fuller, my youth pastor and coach at the time, was next to me, seated on the floor beside me. His eyes seemed to validate my grief, perhaps not knowing the full extension of my alienation felt, but still showing compassion for the rawness of my anguish and unrest. Afterward, I rose and left the tabernacle to follow the winding paths back to my cabin. The paths to the trees and ferns were illuminated by countless lightning bugs, each bobbing and flickering in the deep blue dusk around tree trunks and stones. I paused, stopping along the path, and admired them. I felt no purpose beyond observing their playful tumble and disappearance in the blue night air, like acrobatic lanterns leading me into that golden present. Striveless, near weightless, I sighed. Sighing, I felt relieved of grief, if even to have finally authentically expressed how I felt aloud in some way, and to have said yes to asking for healing and accepting the invitation to cry my heart out and to bravely not be okay. To bravely not be okay in front of strangers, mentors, and friends. And lastly, I would later join a talent show event in the youth tabernacle, but my heart, still today, feels placed snugly at Burke Camp, among those fireflies dunking imaginary basketballs under the summer moon, bright and emblazoned, staring back its own scarred and tear-streaked face. Thank you. And I love Jeff Fuller and Bethany Fuller.
Well, I'm definitely not going to be able to stand up to that. Yes, I'm a lot shorter than Garrett. Thank you. So when Sharon approached our family to go to Burke Camp, we were hesitant, and it was a week for us that we were already on vacation. And our oldest son was gone to, between his junior and senior year, he was gone to a college for pre-college stuff. So we just had our younger son, and I'm thinking, I think it was about 6 years ago. And our younger son definitely was not the type to try new things, and he's very hesitant on that. So I kind of pushed my husband and myself to go. It was the unknown that I think why we were so weary. The minute we got there, everybody was so welcoming. We met some great people that we don't know from our church, and we're still in contact with them. One of them is from the kitchen, Vicky and Mary from the kitchen, and we really connected well with them. I have to say that it was the first place that I felt like there was nothing on my shoulders anymore. It was great. You can let all your worries go, and you know who's watching over you. I don't remember what night it was, but I did go up to the altar and let all my worries go, and it was the best feeling ever. And we had to leave in the middle of the week because Scott had an appointment, and we came right back. Our friends kept asking us from somewhere else to go to their camp, and we said, we can't, we have to go back. So we went back during the week and finished out the week. And I know that it made an impact on my son. He did things that I know he would never do. And it has helped our family so much. I can't thank the Fullers for encouraging us to go. and broadening our Christianity and leaving it up to God. I wouldn't be able to get through this last week when my son has gone to boot camp without what I just went through at Burke. So thank you, everybody, for your support.